Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. I hope you've been enjoying the videos recently. Make sure you smash that like button and hit that subscribe button. It's totally free, don't miss out on any other videos I've been putting out recently. It's really easy. We're going to break it down into 3 stages. The first stage would be the chocolate sponge, or the flourless sponge as we're going to call it. You'll need egg white, egg yolk, caster sugar and cocoa powder. Very simple. So to start things off, you need a KitchenAid, or you can use a little hand whisking machine with the 2 sprongs on the end. That's quite good. You need the whisk attachment on the KitchenAid, the bowl with the egg whites in, which is 340 grams of egg whites. You're going to put it onto high speed. We're going to do the egg whites first because it's nice and easy. You're going to blend it to high speed so it makes soft peaks. It's a lot easier, the KitchenAid, it'll make your life so much easier. Whilst this is whisking, I've set the oven already at 180 degrees to cook the sponge first. So this is stage 1 of the chocolate Delice recipe. So once the egg whites are ready, as you can see here, we have some soft peaks. So that's just when the egg white starts to peak up in the bowl slightly. So I'm going to be a little bit lazy here. Now I'm going to decant this gently into another bowl and then add my egg yolks and sugar into this bowl. Instead of whisking it by hand, I'm going to make the KitchenAid do all the work for me today. So I decanted my egg white into this bowl and made sure the bowl was nice and clean, no dirt, no grease, no oil, no water in the bowl at all, so it's nice and clean. And I was very gentle not to knock any air out of the egg whites. In this bowl here now, we're going to add the egg yolks, which is 240 grams of egg yolks into this bowl here. Like I said, the same again. The bowl is nice and clean. I've just washed the egg whites out. So all that goes in there, into this bowl. Like so 240 grams of egg yolks in there. And we've got 370 grams of sugar. Normal caster sugar is fine. Don't worry, it looks a lot, but it's not. Don't panic about that. And then the same again with the whisk attachment. This is just to make your life nice and easier. If you've got one of these KitchenAids and a hand blender thing, you could do 2 things at once. You could do the egg whites in the separate hand blender, the egg yolks in the separate hand blender one, like that, and then the egg whites in this machine here. And the same again, just put it onto full power, make it light and fluffy and creamy. You'll see the colour change once it's on. Now the egg yolks are ready. As you can see now, you can see the colour difference is great. Look at that, it's nice, light and fluffy. It's a lot easier on the mixer. Does all the work for you, don't have to do anything. Literally tap it all out there. It's going to be nice and easy now. This is how you make the flourless sponge base in stage 1 of the recipe. Pop that over there for a minute. And as you can see there, light, fluffy, different colour, light in texture. So now we're going to mix them all together. Right, so we have all our ingredients here. We have the 340 grams of egg whites, soft peaks, ready to go in a separate bowl from the mixer. In this bowl here we have the egg yolks and the sugar. That's 370 grams of sugar and 240 grams of egg yolks. And in this bowl here is cocoa powder. So we have 110 grams of cocoa powder. It's very simple. All we have to do is mix the cocoa powder with the eggs, and then the egg whites will fall in nice and gently. So in this bowl here, you can tip into all this cocoa powder. It's 110 grams. I have sieved it. You don't have to if you don't want to. It's not going to change too much. All in that goes there. Pop that over there quickly. With a spatula or a Maurice, you're just going to fold it in. Just how Delice showed us how to, fold and cut, fold and cut. This is not too crucial at this stage because you don't have to worry about the air too much. The air is all in the egg whites. So you're just going to make sure that's all nicely mixed in. Hopefully you can see there. Get all that in there. Right, all my egg yolks and sugar and cocoa powder is mixed. So you can see there it's completely different in colour. It's all nicely mixed up. There's nothing at the bottom. Make sure you get right to the bottom. Make sure there's nothing down there. So it's all at the bottom, nice and clear. Now don't worry about having a clean spatula too much of this. The next bit, it's going to sound really weird, but you're going to add about 1/4 of this egg white mix to your yolks, sugar and flour, and you're going to beat it really hard. Right, you're going to think, hang on, why are you doing that? That's crazy. What this does is, it helps to loosen your mix. So you have to worry about this bit too much. It just helps to loosen your mix and make it a little bit more pliable, a little bit more easy to work with when you add the rest of the egg whites. Because if you add all the egg whites now, you're going to have the hard mix or the firmer mix of the egg yolks and sugar and cocoa powder, and the egg white, you won't be able to fold it in properly. So you see here, I'm just beating it up like a madman. It doesn't matter too much. Just beat it up. There you go. So it's now you see now it's looser. and it's more pliable. So now we can fold in the rest of the egg whites. So you can do that stage by stage. You take a little bit of your egg white, pop it in, a little bit more, and pop it in. You can just put it all in at once if you want, and just fold gently, not to knock out any of that, too much of that air, too much. So there's this nice, easy stage 1 to your chocolate Delice recipe. It'd be a great chocolate Delice or chocolate cake basically. It's just all set, there's no baking really involved except for this base. All you gotta do is make this base. You can make it a day in advance or 2 days in advance if you want to. You're basically making a flourless sponge and you're gonna be setting it in layers with the ganache and the mousse on top. Nice and easy. As you can see there's the first bit of egg white. Make sure you get right to the bottom so there's no egg white at the bottom. Nicely mixed up. Perfect. Right, we'll do the next bit now. Add all this bit in. Everything goes in. Put that over there quickly. And the same again. Same process again. Now that our flourless sponge mix is ready, I've got a couple of trays ready here. You can use whatever tray you want. Trust me, it doesn't matter. I've got 2 of the same size here, the same depth. All I've done is put a little bit of that one spray, or that 1 cal spray, or a little bit of water on the bottom of the trays, just to stick the paper down onto it. And I've got this one here, which is really a flat tray. It doesn't matter what tray you put it on, because you can cut it to whatever size you want after the sponge, because no one's going to see it, it's going to be inside the Delice cake. Now, you can use whatever ring you want to make the Delice in. I'm going to use a round one today. You can use a square one, a rectangular one, whatever shape ring you've got. Basically, when the sponge is cooked, you're going to cut your ring shapes out and you're going to layer it. Sponge, ganache, sponge, mousse, whatever way you want to layer it. This is very simple this way. So now what we got to do is we got to pour this flourless sponge mix into these trays. Now, basically, the easiest way to get this sponge perfect, and you don't want a thick layer, is you put a little bit of sponge in each one. Now put a tiny bit in each one. Now we've got quite a lot of sponge mix here, so you're going to make quite a decadent Delice basically. It's going to be very nice. So all this in here, just make sure you evenly distribute it. We're going to have quite a lot more mix. We'll see how we get on in a minute. I'm going to put it on this tray here as well. Like I said, you could bake these a few days in advance. It doesn't matter. You can get it all ready. Now here we're going to tilt the sponge a little bit. You don't want to move it too much with a spoon or a spatula because you'll knock all the air out of it and all that hard work you've just done with the egg white. As you can see on this one, we need to put a little bit more mix. Same again with this one, you can see those little air bubbles popping as I move it. This is why we don't want to play with it too much because all the air will be knocked out. So we'll repeat the process by putting a little bit more on each one. And we'll just give it a little shake. Just gently fill it up, like so. And again on this one. So it's better to have a thick layer. It cooks really quick and it makes it nice and easy for you. So just a gentle tap down to the edges, just like that. As you can see here, it's going to be in one nice even layer. Just tap that down to the edge, like that, roughly. Because you're going to cut it out to the shape you want. So it doesn't have to be perfect now. And just repeat the process till the trays are done. As you can see here, once all your trays are filled up with the flourless sponge mix, you're going to bake it at 180, 170 degrees, something like that, just till they're cooked. It's a sponge, so just cook it till the sponge is cooked. So if you want to put a little knife in it and pull it out to see if it's clean, that's perfectly fine. They're not going to be very thick, so they're not going to take very long. Probably 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes max at 180 degrees. So that's it. We're going to pop these in the oven and we're going to work on stage 2 of the chocolate Delice. Right, now time for stage 2. This is the chocolate ganache part of the chocolate Delice. So you'll need 190 grams of 66% chocolate, 10 grams of glucose or honey. As you can see here, you can't see it very well because the glucose is clear, and 300 mils of double cream. We're going to bring the cream to the boil with the glucose inside. Then we're going to pour it over our chocolate and whisk it. Very simple at this stage. It will take less than 5 minutes to make, and the chocolate Delice stage 2 is complete. So in this pan here, I have the glucose, which is 10 grams, and 300 mils of double cream. I'm going to bring this up to a boil quickly. Make sure it boils. If it doesn't boil, it won't melt your chocolate to make the ganache. So you're going to stand here and just keep an eye on it. If you turn around from cream, sometimes it just overflows and makes an absolute mess everywhere. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it for a few minutes. Just bring it to the boil. We'll pour over our 190 grams of 66% chocolate. So my cream has now come to the boil. I'm going to pour all that on top of my chocolate and get a whisk ready. I'm going to pour all that on top, make sure you get all of it out. Don't leave anything in there. And all you got to do then is just whisk your chocolate. Be quite quick with this. If you go too slowly, the chocolate won't be hitting the hot cream quick enough to form a ganache. As you can see now, already it's forming that nice glossy ganache. If you're using cooking chocolate, cut it really small. If you leave it really big, let's get this out of the way. If you leave it really big, it will take a lot longer for the heat to melt it. So cut it really small with a knife or smash it with a rolling pin in a little bag. Like I had little small pellets there for me, it was perfect. So there you go, there's the chocolate Delice, the chocolate ganache, excuse me, for the Delice. So that's nice and ready to go, nice and glossy, and that will firm up in the fridge when you pour it on top of the sponge. Now, stage 2 is complete for the chocolate Delice. We're going to work on stage 3 now.
So we're now on to stage 3 of the chocolate Delice. Behind me I have a pan of water coming up to the simmer to melt the chocolate. For this recipe, we're going to need chocolate, cream, egg yolks and sugar and a little splash of water.
Okay, so the next stage of stage 3 of the chocolate Delice will be to melt the 150 grams of chocolate. So that's 66% chocolate on top of a bowl. Just so it can melt nice and slowly. Don't want it to touch the bottom of the bowl, otherwise it will burn the chocolate. That's 150 grams of dark chocolate or 66% chocolate. And in this pan here I have 70 grams of sugar, and we're going to add a little splash of water to that and bring it up in temperature so it boils about 118 degrees, well really until it boils. And next to it here, I don't know whether you can see it, we're going to have the KitchenAid running with 100 grams of egg yolks, just whipping up nice and slowly. So what we're going to do here is, once the sugar and the water has come to 118 degrees or above boiling, we're going to pour it on top of our egg yolks and slowly cook our egg yolks. Then we're going to fold in the chocolate and then incorporate everything else together, which will be the double cream and the milk, which you'll see later. Now as you can see, the chocolate is slowly melting and it's almost there. And the sugar and the water has come up to the 117 or 118 degrees. So there's no colour in there and it's just above boiling. So you want to give it a few minutes on the boil. Don't leave it, keep an eye on it, otherwise it will turn to caramel and burn. So there we go, that's almost ready. Now in the KitchenAid, as you can probably hear in the video, just there, we have the egg yolks just whisking away nicely, as you can see. We're going to pour the rest, everything into everything now. So the sugar and the water is ready to go, and the egg yolks are in the KitchenAid mixing up nicely. If you've got a bigger KitchenAid, you might have to double it because the bowl will be too deep. My KitchenAids are very small, like I said before. It should incorporate quite nicely. I'm going to pour this mixture in nice and slowly into here. Don't go too fast because you'll cook the eggs and scramble it. And then you'll have a scrambled egg and caramel, and that won't be very nice. So nice and slowly, see how slowly I'm trickling it in. Just pour it in nice and slowly. If you think it's going too fast, just stop it. Make sure you're on full power on the KitchenAid. Move to the other side and just pour another little bit in. Nice and slowly. Try and aim for the middle if you can. It'll be the best place for it. Get it right in the middle so it can incorporate it nicely. And all we've done there is basically help cook the egg out with the caramel, with the sugar and water, sorry. So let that mix for a few more minutes just so it doesn't all crystallise together. So as you can see, all the stages are complete for stage 3 of the chocolate Delice. We have the melted chocolate here, nicely melted, beautiful. We have the sugar, water and the egg yolks in here, like that, nice and fluffy. That's left on the KitchenAid for a few minutes just to incorporate all of it together. And here by hand I've whisked 270 ml of double cream to soft peaks and 40 ml of whole milk to soft peaks. So those two combine together and they go in there. So basically now we want to just push that to one side quickly. We want to add the egg mixture to the chocolate. So with your spatula you'll be melting your chocolate with, just tip it up and pour it in. We don't have to worry about the temperature too much or tempering the eggs, because the sugar has already done its work for us with the water in the eggs. We don't need to worry about pouring it into our chocolate too much and changing the temperature of our chocolate, because the chocolate has just been melted. So it should be at a sort of the reasonable temperature. Just pop that over there and we'll just fold all this together nice and easily. There's no worry about the air here, just get it all in. So it will start to thicken just ever so slightly when you're mixing all this. So we'll do the same process we did with the egg whites earlier with the cream now. Because it's slightly warm, this mix, the cream may slightly melt. So you want to work with it just enough, just to help cool it down. You see there, the chocolate, the eggs, and the sugars all mixed together, slightly thicker. Now we'll bring the cream back into play. Now we have our cream mix here. So I'll keep the whisk for the first part, like we did with the cream. Pop the whisk, the egg whites earlier, and just pop that bit into there. We'll do exactly the same process we did with the egg whites earlier as we do now, and we'll just give that a good whisk, just to help loosen the mix. Give that a good little whisk up. Make sure you get it all off the edges and right to the bottom. And as you can see there, now it's nice and loose. Tap all the excess off, pop the whisk to one side, and repeat the process with all the cream by folding it all in. Okay, great. So now we've got all the stages complete for the chocolate Delice. The sponge is cooked and cooled, the ganache is ready to go, and so is the mousse. This is all made in real time, so you don't have to worry about too many edits on this video. This is all made in the same time scale as what I filmed it in, so everything is possible to do. Firstly, what we've got to do is I've lined my ring here with cling film, so I've laid out 3 layers of cling film on the bench and pushed it with my hands so all the air comes out of it, and I've wrapped it around this ring mould here. There's basically one of those pop tins, so the base comes out, and I just wrapped it in tin foil just to make it tight. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to assemble the layer of sponge and then ganache, and then pop it in the fridge, let it set for a few minutes just so the ganache is firmed up. Put the next layer of sponge, mousse, let that set, ganache, sponge, until I've run out of everything else, and finishing with, hopefully, ganache. That's the plan. So as you can see, I put my first layer in my mould here. If you get on these excess trimming bits, all you can do is you can just take the bit off. Don't worry if it's all broken up, trust me, it doesn't matter. You can see like a little gap, you just push it in and push it down. The sponge is quite flexible and it's quite versatile, so you can just push it in all the gaps you want to cover up. So you've got little holes, just like that. And all these extras trimmings, they are great for kids to eat, or you know, for an adult snack or whatever. You know, and then what you do is you take ganache, just give it a good mix, make sure it's not all starting to set up. And it depends on how many layers you want. You can put as many layers in there as you want. If you want more ganache, just double the recipe. And just pour a little bit of that ganache. I like to do the ganache first. A little bit of ganache in there first, because the ganache will firm up and help you make a nice sturdy base to your Delice. And then just run the ganache around the mould, because once it sets up, it'll be like solid chocolate, which would be great for the bottom of your Delice. Get that in there nicely like that. As you can see there, mine's nice and covered. If you want to put all the ganache in, by all means you can put all the ganache in. I'm going to work in a couple of layers and do mousse next and then finish with ganache. I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. I hope I broke the recipe down in nice, easy stages for you for that chocolate Delice recipe. It'll be fantastic when you eat it. I hope you enjoyed that video. Thanks very much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash that like button so I know that you've enjoyed the videos. And thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.